Hey, what's good everyone? Welcome to part 2 of this tutorial. I made this video a little bit longer. By a little bit I mean twice as long. But anyways, if you haven't completed part 1 yet, click the top right, it will take you there. If you guys have any questions throughout this tutorial, anything you want answered, just send me a DM on Instagram and I'll be sure to reply. But yeah, without any further ado, let's open up the blender scenes. Follow me on Instagram, I'll put it on the screen right now. That's my Instagram. And yeah, leave a like, share, all of that stuff. Also, the reference images are down in the description, so just click the link and it'll take you there. You can download them. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so hop back into your scene and let's go back to the outsole and let's make this kind of ridges here. I don't know what you call these. This kind of intrusions. Is intrusions even a word? Anyways, bring in the plane, let's scale it down. And then we're just gonna bring it below the shoe itself. We're just gonna scale it to fit into that groove basically. Let's just make that little area there. Bring these over. Same with these. Like so. Yep. Doesn't have to be perfect, by the way. Just get it into the general shape. Something like that. And then let's add a solidify. Actually, let's just extrude up. Probably be a lot easier. So extrude upwards to whatever height you want. Something like that. And then let's kind of just bring out this face here a little bit. It looks good. That's not too bad. And let's just bring this up a little bit more. I feel like it's a bit too short. You know what I mean? You put it to whatever height you want, but I'm gonna go a little bit higher. Something like that. Let's go back into the bottom view. And let's just duplicate it in edit mode, by the way, to keep it as an object. I think this will do it, to be honest. I think that's pretty good there. Basically, we're just going to use this as a Boolean object, basically, to cut into the outsole. So let's rename it F2. Let's rename it side bool. Call it whatever you want. Come down here and let's go to, where is it? Display as, and go to wire. Oh, actually, select bounds instead. Bounds looks a bit better. So select the outsole and let's add a Boolean modifier. And then click the eyedropper and select the little thingy we just made. I can't speak today. Oh my god. But yeah, select that. You should get something like this. As you can see, just cutting into it, that's what a Boolean does. So I think that looks pretty good actually. Maybe bring it out a little bit along the wire. Alright, so let's make this part here Eyelet. Let's call it. Let's try something new. Let's go Shift A Surface. And let's go to Nurbs Surface. I think this kind of acts like a lattice, basically. A lattice is kind of like a box you have, and there's like points inside the box that allow you to move the mesh, to control the mesh, if that makes sense. You'll see anyway, so let's rotate this. So as you can see, you have all these points that you basically move around and it controls the mesh, as you can see. So I've never tried this before, so we're just going to see how it turns out. I'm pretty sure this will work out pretty well. Let's see. I'm going to just get into the general shape. And bring these in. Just follow the reference image, basically. I'll probably speed this part up. As you get something like this, it looks pretty cool. As you can see, it kind of just makes our life much easier. So we're going to convert this into a mesh. So object convert to mesh. Let's go actually select it. So select it. Right now it has way too many vertices. So let's add the Decimate Modifier. Click on mode and then select unsubdivide. And actually if you go to wireframe mode, so press Z and then select wireframe, you can see what the effect of the modifier is. So if you increase this, you can see it's reducing the amount of vertices. I think that's enough, to be honest. Let's go back to normal view and we're just going to apply the modifier. Now in edit mode, let's select all of them, search tries to quads. This will basically move all the triangles. There we go. We still need to clean up the mesh though, so let's select all of these edges here, and we're gonna delete them. So delete and then click dissolve edges. There you go. Let's do the same with this kind of zigzag pattern here. Let's get rid of this top edge as well, we don't need that. Delete all of these faces here. Like so. And let's get rid of this little edge here that's kind of protruding. Let's delete it again. Here we go. Should be left with something like this. Just getting there, almost there. And let's let this like row here. And let's move along the Y. Okay, wait, not that much. Hold up. Just a little bit. Something like that. We're just trying to get the general shape of it basically. So spend as much time on this as you want. Bring these in a little bit. Let's see. Use X-ray mode as well. Just Alt Z, kind of makes your life a bit easier. Let's delete these points here. Dissolve vertices. Vertices. Here we go. Just pull some of these out, like so. Bring these in. Just follow the reference image, basically. I know I said it like 50 times now, but that's really it. Let's delete this bottom row here because we really don't need that. So just delete vertices. Same with this. Kind of keep our mesh clean. Let's select this bottom edge, and then let's just press scale Z0. Which is just flatten it basically, keep it neat. We can scale it up along the X. Something like that. You get the point. I'm talking way too much. There you go. Should end up with something like this. Looks really cool. Again, if you need help with any of these parts, just DM me on Instagram. So let's do the same thing for this upper eyelet area. For any sneakerheads out there that, you know the name of it, just, yeah, whatever. Let's bring in the square. Let's bring in the plane. You see these circles here, we're gonna start with those. So let's bring them up, and then let's rotate this. And then in edit mode, press I to inset. And then let's do it again, like so. And we're gonna turn this into a circle basically. So let's add 2 loop cuts, one on the top and one on the side. And select this kind of square here, 8 of them. Don't select the middle one, and then press W, loop tools, circle, like so. If you don't have the loop tools add-on turned on, this is not gonna work. You won't see this little selection. So go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then search loop tools and make sure it's activated. And then let's do the same with this outer part, like so. And then let's delete this inner circle. There you go. So you end up with something like this. And we're going to duplicate this for all the circles basically. And the reason why I inserted it twice is to add support loops, so that when you go to add a subdivision modifier, it doesn't look all messed up. So just duplicate a bunch of times, like so. And then we can just join these. Just select 4 of them and press F to make a face. Like so. I'm gonna speed this up. There we go. Let's just pull this out a little bit. Sometimes it's a bit easier to work without the proportional, whatever. I can't speak. What's going on? I think I'm losing my mind. So let's select this, and then let's just extrude it out one more time. And let's select all of these outer edges, and we're gonna extrude them. So press E, and then right click, and then we're gonna scale it up along the Z and then the Y. Probably not the best way to do this, but whatever. Let's just select the newly extruded vertices, like so. Make sure to select the right ones. Let me deselect this one, and we're gonna bring this part up. And we're gonna do the same with the bottom part too. Remember, use X-ray mode to make your life a lot easier. You should get something like this basically. As you can see, looks pretty cool. We just need to extrude it up and make this top part. So let's kind of tie this up a little bit. Let's extrude up and press scale Z0 just to flatten it along the Z. Bring that up a little bit. Clean it up a little bit. Something like that. And let's add a loop cut. Control R, by the way, to add a loop cut. I don't know if I mentioned that. I mean, you should know that by now. Come on. I've made like 4 different tutorials. You should know that. So let's select this outer faces here, and we're going to duplicate to make the 2 circles on the top. The 2 holes, sorry. So Shift D. And then we can rotate it. Duplicate it again. Like so. And let's bring this edge down. Double press G so you can slide the edges. Oh, what's going on here? I think I extruded it twice or something. Can I? Okay, there we go. So I can delete that. So if that happens to you as well, that means you just extruded it twice. So just move it and then delete it. So now we can bring this down and this one too. And then we're going to join them like we did earlier. Just selecting 4 different vertices and pressing F. As you can see. Now for the sides here, we're going to select 1 vertex and extrude that one up. So select this one and we're going to extrude it. And we're going to extrude it at every point basically, if that makes sense. So that we can join them all like so. So you just join all of them. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the right side. Starting with that bottom vertex on the right and then extruding that up. And then adding the faces. Should end up with something like this. Clean that up a little bit. And then let's extrude this up to make this top part. Let's just bring this one up a little bit. Something like that. Might add another loop cut. There we go. Something like that. Just use your intuition, whatever you feel like it's the right thing to do. So I haven't practiced at all. I'm just making it right now pretty much. Let's see. There we go. Should end up with something like this. You can still select these, by the way, and move them around using proportional editing if you wish to. Try to keep it, you know, flowy and clean. So you get something like this. Make sure you save, by the way. You don't want to lose it. There you go. Looks pretty cool, actually. And now I'm thinking we should move on to the heel, probably. Actually, before that, let's go into the top view. And I'm going to just drag and drop the top view, basically, the reference image. And just drop it in like so. Place it there. Let's bring it up along the Z. Just so it's on top of the midsole. Maybe scale up just a tiny bit. Obviously, if you want all your reference images to be at the same scale, bring them all in at the same time. I kind of forgot to bring this one in. That's why I have to scale it up a little bit. So let's bring it up to something like this. Maybe bring it up. Let's move that into the reference images. Press M to move into different collections. Let's rename it top view. So. And let's add the holes on this eyelet actually. So there's like 3 we need to add. So let's select one edge. Go to edge select. And then press Ctrl B to add the bevel. And then scroll up once. Just to add one more loop cut in the middle. About there. And then we're going to move this up a little bit. Just so it's in the middle of the holes. And remember, you need 8 sides or 8 vertices to make a circle. So I'm just going to add 2 more loop cuts. Let's select all of these ones basically. And then like earlier, we're going to inset it to add support loops for when we subdivide later. Let's go. Here we go. Maybe scale along the X a little bit. Something like that. And then we're going to select them all individually and then turn them into circles. It doesn't really work when you select everything at once and then try to do it. You have to select them individually. So yeah, let's scale this. And then let's delete the face. And then we're going to do the same for the rest. There you go. Let's just make these corners a bit more rounded-ish. I just like doing that. You don't have to do this, by the way. There you go. Let's add the subdivision. That's what it looks like. There we go. So let's turn the subdivision we already needed now. Let's set this top edge. Make sure you save, by the way. And then we're just going to bring it in a little bit. Just to match the reference image. Make sure you got proportional editing turned on. Basically, with proportional editing, the more you scroll up, the bigger the area that you can control or affect. So kind of play around with it until you get whatever you like. There we go. And let's rotate this along the X. I don't like how it's like poking up a little bit. Maybe we can bring it in. That's a bit better. Yeah, I think that'll do. Now we need to get rid of all of these vertices. There's way too many, so we can merge them all. So select these three, press M, and then at center, which will merge it. And then select the next ones and press Shift R. Shift R repeats the last action. Let's merge these top ones as well. Like so. Let's bring this out again, make it a bit more rounded. This is just personal preference. I like doing this. You don't have to. So yeah, tidying up a little bit, making it a bit neat. You end up with something like this or similar to this. Which looks pretty clean. Maybe we can lift this edge out. It's kind of going a little bit. Basically just play with it until you get the results that you're going for. I'm gonna just bring them up just a tiny bit. That's kind of like an edge form in there, so that's a bit better. Let's go to top view, and we're just gonna align it with the reference image like we did with the first eyelet, basically. So let's move it over along the Y a little bit. And then let's select this top edge here, and we're gonna just move that over. Proportional editing, don't forget that. Something like that, and then let's just scroll up so it affects more of the mesh. I think about there is pretty good. Let's fix this edge here. So let's first of all let's add a subdivision to kind of help us see what it would look like. So something like that. Let's take that off. Let's bring along the Y again. Turn it on again. And let's scroll up. We're trying to keep it flat also, but at the same time angled. So something like that looks pretty good. Let's move that up along the Y. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's go W, shade smooth. Shade smooth. That's what it looks like. By the way, if you guys are enjoying these videos, make sure you leave a like and a comment down below as well. Let me know if you want this like longer type videos, or would you just prefer the 30-minute videos. Leave it down below. There we go. You got something like this. Looks pretty cool. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there. So let's go Shift A. Let's bring in a play. Let's bring in a circle actually, because we want to make it from the top. Let's go to the top view, pressing number 7. Let's hide this a little bit. Let's bring it over. Scale it down. Kind of place it into the right place, something like that. And we're just gonna bring these over to the side, like so. And obviously do the same on the other side. just to get it lined up. Now thinking of it, we could have just selected the midsole and duplicated it, but whatever. Let's line it up pretty well, and then we can delete these middle ones here. Those two, delete. We don't need these at all. Now that we have this, if you go to front view, we can bring it down a little bit. Let's maybe rotate it, just so it lands up with the midsole. Just rotate it a little bit. There we go. And then we can extrude up. So along the Z, something like that. Let's bring this down a little bit more. Okay, let's add a loop cut right there, just because that part kind of extrudes out a little bit. Let's select this part and let's move it along the X. Just a little bit, not too much. Let's move this forward as well. Kind of keep it lined up. Rotate that. Go. Remember, double press G if you want to slide the vertices, which is what I'm doing now. So we get something like this, and we just need to basically shape it. So let's add like 3 loop cuts. Control R and then scroll up to add loop cuts, by the way. And we can move these ones back, just like that. So you get something like this, which is pretty close to it actually. It's almost there. We just need to add the curves on the front. Let's hide half of it so we don't get confused looking through the front view. So go into top view, Alt Z, X-ray mode, and then just click and drag to select, and then we can hide half of it. Or you can press B to box select as well, but click faster. So now I think we could actually just delete this edge here. We don't really need that. And then we're just going to use this to kind of line it up. Just bring it forwards. Like so. And then we can just tidy up, just bring this forward as well. Yeah. There you go. Something like that. Let's press Alt H to bring the back side again. And then we can delete this edge here as well. We don't really need it. Like so. Bring this one back a little bit. Like so, and then let's hide this half, the half we just worked on, just so we don't get confused again. And then actually we could probably delete this edge too. Let's delete it. Let's go front and then press 9 to flip it to go to the back view. And let's bring in the medial side actually, because you got 2 reference images, one for the lateral side, which is the outside, and the medial, which is the inside of the foot. So let's flip it over. Scale X-1, and let's just move it back like so. There we go. So now we can line it up using the other side basically. Again, do the same thing as earlier. Just gonna line up. There we go. You can rotate these along the... Alright, so let's bring it along the Y first, yeah. There you go. Let's go Alt H and then press W, shade smooth. Press F2, let's rename it Hill. Just to keep everything organized. Like so. Looks really good. Let's bring back the other reference image. So you got the lateral view there, which is outside, and the medial, which is the inside of the foot. So you just gotta make sure to remember that they're different. There you go. That's the inside of the foot there. So as you can see, they're named differently there, anyways. So just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna hide this one. Let's come back in. Looks really neat, really good. Turning out so far. Let's go to the front view. Don't you just love it when things just line up? Look at that. Everything's lined up perfectly with the reference image. Obviously, you can see that one side is longer because, again, you got 2 sides, lateral and medial. Let's save that. Now let's move on to the night tick. So let's make that real quick. Let's just bring in the plane. Just shift A, plane. Rotate it as usual, 90 degrees. Scale it down. Like so. And we're just going to extrude it into the shape, basically. Nothing too complicated. Like so. Let's bring it there. Like that. And then we're just going to press Ctrl left click to get extrude. It's just a lot faster than pressing E. And we're just going to tidy this up real quick. Again, use the reference image. Like so. That looks really good. Just going to bring this down. I'm just going to carry on extruding it. Rotating and scaling it. Something like that. Let's extrude it again. Gotta bring these up. Let's go. We can probably extrude across now. Let's bring this one up a little bit. Bring this one across. Something like that. Select these two and then extrude those up. Something like that. So we've got a general shape now, basically. Let's add a loop cut. You can see it doesn't go all the way up. So what we can do is select these 2 points here and then press J to join them. So now we have a loop cut running through the whole thing. So just going to tidy up a little bit. There we go. Select it and then press F2 to rename it to Nightic or Nike to those for my American viewers. Let me just rotate it to kind of align it with the shoe. Bring it like so. Bring it forward a bit. Smooth up across the X. And we're basically just going to make sure it matches up with the reference image. So let's bring back the top view. Let's go into top view now. Press 7. We're just going to pull this vertex to kind of match the reference image. There it goes. Bring it out a little bit. Rotate that. Something like that. There you go. That looks pretty good. And just bring this forward. Just make sure it's kind of aligned. So we're going to move that along the Y. Kind of keep it straight. I don't know if you guys could tell through this voiceover, but I'm exhausted right now. I haven't eaten anything yet, but let's curve this around the shoe. Something like that. Maybe extrude one more. And let's just make sure it fits inside the heel, basically. So we're going to select these and bring them in. Like so. There we go. Maybe bring it back out a little bit, bring it down. Just try to match up as best as you can. Something like that. There we go. Let's go W shape smooth just to keep it smooth. And then we're gonna add subdivision later on, just see. For now we can add it just see how it looks, and then we can turn it back off. There we go. We'll keep it like this for now. Let's just line this up with the reference image again. Pull it forward a bit. Also, what do you guys think of the background music? Obviously, you know, I made it myself, but not a producer though, or anything like that. But anyways, let's get back to this. You should end up with something like this. And yes, we're gonna make the other side too. We're just gonna duplicate this. but for now this looks pretty cool. So let's go into edit mode, press A and then shift D to duplicate it. Let's move along the Y and then SY-1 to flip it along the Y. Again, if you scale anything by -1, it will flip it. So we're gonna rotate this and then bring it in a little bit more, and then basically do the same step as before and get it lined up with the reference image or the heel. Let's just make sure everything lines up and bring it forward. Let's bring this one out a little bit more. Just follow the heel basically. So let's select the heel actually and bring it out just a tiny bit more. And then bring these ones inwards. Kind of get like a, if you've seen like a Jordan one, has like an hourglass kind of shape towards the back. So we're going to try to replicate that. Let's just hide this, to kind of get in the way. There we go. So we're just going to bring this down to kind of meet the heel. There we go. So now let's join these ones together. So you select them, press F. And to fix this kind of normals issue, just press A, Alt N, and then recalculate outside. So recalculate the normals, and that should fix it. If that doesn't work, you can try recalculate inside and just play with it until you get something that works. So you should end up with something like this basically. Looks pretty cool. Let me bring it down. Again, you can tweak it to whatever you like. If you want it to be perfect, make it perfect. But you should get something like this basically. You can see both sides are lined up pretty well. And we're going to do the same with this top eyelet. So select it. And we're going to duplicate it along the Y and then SY-1 to flip it. There we go. And then we can bring it down along the Y. Let's do the same with this front eyelet too. Bring it back in. And of course, we're going to line it all up in a minute using the reference images. So let's go top view, pressing 7. And let's just align this one with the reference image. Bring all these sides in. I'm just gonna line it up basically. Here we go. Just get something like this. And then let's do the same for this top eyelet as well. We're gonna line that one up too. So let's bring the reference image up a little bit, just so we can see a bit better. Okay, let's go to 7. And let's just start lining it up. Alright, so I have to get it lined up like a barber shop using Blender. You might get chopped. Bars. Anyways, you should get something like this. You can see it looks really good. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on to the... Let's make this kind of wing. I think it's called a wing. Pretty sure it's called a wing. Well, it uses the same curvature as the heel, so I'm gonna duplicate that and use that. Move it up a little bit, something like that. Again, let's go top view, and we can just hide half of it. So actually, make sure you're in X-ray mode and you can select everything. So let's hide that, so we got only one side to work with for now. We'll probably delete the other side anyways. So let's rotate these and get it lined up with the reference image, like so. Let's select this top edge and we can rotate that and then bring it up a little bit. Again, get it lined up with the reference image. There we go. And then with this one, just press SZ0 just to flatten it. We can rotate that too. Actually, we can delete these here. Let's delete all these bottom ones. We don't really need them. So get rid of those. Make it a lot simpler. And then now we can extrude these three faces here. Three edges. Use proportional editing as well to kind of bring everything up evenly. Oh, as evenly as you can. Like so. Again, line it up with the reference image. Then we can extrude one more out, scale it down a little bit. I'm gonna move this back, so I keep it even. Or let's come down here, same thing. And actually, we can select these ones here, and then extrude downwards, and then scale Z0 just to flatten it. Here we go. Also, keep in mind from now on, when I say flatten along the X, it just means scale X 0. So you get something like this, basically. Probably bring this down a little bit more. It's taking shape already, you can see. Go. Looking good. Let's press Alt-H and just delete this other side. We don't really need that. So we're left with this, just one half. And then we can just work on the holes. So to do that, we're gonna add a loop cut along the sides. Again, you can select the middle one and press Ctrl B. It's really up to you. Let's move this over because we want it. You want the middle edges to be in the center of the circle, basically. So the loop cut here. That'll be the middle. Just bring this one down a tiny bit, and let's add two on each side. There you go. Do the same on top here. You can see you got that square there. So let's select these. Press period and then select individual origins and then I to insert. Like so. And then select the faces or the vertices. And the same thing we had before, W, loop tools, circle. There you go. And then we can just delete the faces in the middle. Let's do the same here. So you should be left with something like this, as you can see. Let me just shape this a bit better. Again, you can take your time with this or just skip all of this. Go, just get something like this. And let me just extrude this down. I don't know what happened. Probably deleted it accidentally. But we can just extrude down and then make a face. Press F. There you go. So now what we have to do is clean up the mesh a little bit. Right now there's too many vertices, way too many. So we're gonna join them together like earlier. Press M and then click at center. And then Shift R to repeat action. Go ahead, join these front ones as well. Actually, let's add a loop cut here before we do that. So we can join it here. Sorry, press M, there we go. Then Shift R, and then we can join these ones. There we go. And then we can slide these up a little bit. There we go. So you should get something like this basically. And again, I'm gonna make it a bit more rounded because I just like how that looks. Personally, you don't have to do this. Just pull these up. There you go. But you should always add support grooves before you make a circle. So you get something like this. Again, we've only got one side, so we need to duplicate it to do the left side. Let's just rotate these and bring them out a little bit. I'm gonna kind of just play with it till I get something I like. Maybe bring it in a bit more. Because I want it to be a little bit curved as well, so this might be a bit too much actually. Let me just maybe pull these back. So there's like a slight curve to them. It's kind of hard to tell, but I can see it. Let me pull these out as well. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Happy with that. So now let's go back into edit mode. Let's just bring these in as well. You can see it's kind of bulging out a little bit. Again, like I said, you don't have to put this much effort in. So let's just mirror this to the other side now, or duplicate actually. Let me line this up quickly. Something like that. That was just OCD. I had to do that. So now let's select this, edit mode. Again, let's bring this out. There's always like little errors here and there. Just go keep a lookout. So let's select these and then let's flatten it along the Y. Let's do the same with this one as well. There we go. Let me move it back a little bit maybe. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's not too bad. So now let's go back into edit mode, press A, Shift D, Y, and then let's flip it along the Y. So SY -1. And then let's just put it in place, move it over. Let's merge these in the middle. So select the two, press M, add to center. So press A and then Alt N, recalculate outside just to fix the normals. There we go. So now we just need to flatten everything. Sorry, not flatten. We need to make sure everything lines up with the rest of the shoe. Now let's add a subdivision. So I've got my shortcut, which is Ctrl+1. Let's do the same with this, with the wing spar as well. Alright, so let's just kind of mess with this a little bit, get it lined up properly. I think it's pretty good though. Let's line up these holes as well. Let's go back into this real quick and let's add this little groove line thing on the midsole. So let's add a loop cut, Control R. You can move up a little bit. And I'm just going to line it up with the reference image, as always. So let's just lift some of these parts up. Up there is pretty fine, so let's just start with here. Let's select all of these and then Control B just to add a bevel. Let's make it smaller, it's something like that, not too wide. And then let's select this middle part. So press Alt and then select it. And then we're going to scale it in along the X and Y. So you can press S, Shift, Z to scale it along the X and Y, but not the Z. So we should get something like this, which looks actually really good. Kind of surprised. Let me just lift this up a little bit and slide them up. There we go. Actually came out pretty well. Now I might add a bevel to the upper edge. I'm not sure. But you should get something like this, which looks pretty cool. Oops. But you know what, actually let's just add a bevel to it. So select this outer ring, this outer edge. Just press Alt and right click or left click depending on how your blender set up. So select it all and then press Control B to add a bevel, and let's just go with something like that. Yeah, that'll do it. I just don't want to have any sharp lines basically. So let's select this bottom edge and we're gonna mark it sharp. Just so that let's select all of it and then Shift E and then scroll out until it's purple. The darker the purple, the sharper it will end up being basically. Just so that when we add the subdivision, it looks fine. So let's add the subdivision. There we go. And let's add another one to this edge. There you go. That actually looks really good. Let me just bring this in a little bit, maybe. If there's anything like protruding out, just bring it back in. So you should get something like this. This looks pretty cool. Let's add this area here, this little white area. Let's go Shift A, bring in the plane. Again, rotate it along the X as usual. Scale it down a little bit. And we're just gonna extrude it like we did with everything else. So select it and the reference image and then / to isolate them. Separate the two only. Bring these up. Let's select these two and then we're just gonna extrude that out about there. There we go, and then we can just add a bunch of loop cuts in the middle. Just to get a general shape of it, pretty much. Just extrude down. And then we can extrude this forward. Like so, maybe one more time, probably. Rather than dragging it all. So let's extrude out. And bring it down a little bit. So you get something like this, basically. So you get something like this. And then this bring back everything by pressing / again. There you go. So we just need to get it into the right shape basically, because it looks a bit weird right now. So just rotate along the X, bring it forwards on the Y. Here we go, got front view. Let's add a loop cut here. And again, like I said before, we're just gonna make sure everything lines up. Add another loop cut here in the middle, and then we can just bring that one in a tiny bit, not too much. Just shade smooth as well. And yeah, I'm just gonna make sure it fits inside of the heel. Why do you think me so long to think of that? But anyways, let's just bring everything in. Let's select these and bring them in, and then rotate a bit. Bring these in as well. Again, exact same steps as before, just bring everything in and line it up with the midsole and the heel. And let's select all of these as well and move them forward to something like that, just so we can see what we're doing. And let's add a Solidify Modifier to this eyelet actually, so we can kind of see the limit of it. So where is it? Solidify, I can never find it. There we go. And let's increase the thickness a bit, something like that. Even thickness, take that as well. And let's come down here and then turn on auto smooth. And let's add a subdivision as well. Control 1, that's my shortcut. So it looks like that. Okay. So now we can kind of see what we're working with basically. There we go. Kind of just make our life a bit easier. Let's add a Solidify Modifier. Oh, sorry, a subdivision to it. That sounds so similar. Let's let these and pull them out a little bit. It's like they're in too much. There we go. Let's add the Solidify to the Unite tape. Like so. Let's spread it over the subdivision. Let's just increase that a little bit. Do you get something you like? And then just turn on auto smooth as well. Let's kind of bring this out a little bit more. Kind of just tweak it till you get something that you like. Let's add a Solidify to the heel. Again, turn on auto smooth as well. Just kind of just play with it all the way around, something like that. Let's add a subdivision to it, and then we can let these here, bring them out a little bit, about there. There we go. And then let's select this bottom edge and this sides as well. Let's go Shift E just to mark sharp, and we'll do the same with the top and the sides. Just drag it out to wherever you like. I think something like that. You can see it's a lot better. There we go, that's the heel done. Now let's just finish this part here. Let's pull these in a little bit. And then let's just fix this and put it under the eyelet. So let's just drag them down a little bit. There we go. We can bring them inwards as well, just to put it behind this little eyelet. Like so. Okay. So once you get something like this, looks really good. Looks really good actually. Yeah. Let's just do this part here. Let's kind of bring it down, just to follow the reference image basically. Guys, don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying it so far, and obviously subscribe for more. Okay, so now let's add the solidify to this upper eyelet. Again, this just help us kind of see where we can put this, the middle white part. So let's kind of play with the thickness a bit, something like that. Let's go 0.5 actually, and then same thing, go to auto smooth, turn that on. You get something like this, and I'm just gonna tweak it, kind of bring it down in a little bit. I don't like how it's protruding out too much. Alright, so let's just increase its thickness a little bit. Just a tiny bit more, about there. That should do it. Make sure to save. So you get something like this basically. This is what we got to so far. Let's make this a little bit more pointy. So let's select him, press Shift A, and then just drag out to wherever you want it. Let's do the same with this bottom part. There we go. Just make it a little bit more sharp looking. Nice. Okay, maybe bring this down a little bit. Just tweak it as you go basically. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just check. Let's bring this back in actually before we get to that. You can extrude that as well. There we go. We can maybe extrude it one more time. So let's just bring this down a little bit. Gonna keep it flowing. Over here, like so. And let's extrude it one more time. Just kind of get it to the middle. There we go. Maybe bring it back on the X a little bit so we can see it. There we go. Bring this out just a tiny bit. You can select these and bring them out just a little bit. Again, like I said before, just kind of tweak it as you're going until you got your preferred look. Something like that. Let's add a Solidify Modifier to it as well. Give it some thickness. Yeah. Let's then turn on auto normals. There we go. So let's select all of it and then let's go Shift A, duplicate it. Sorry, let's go Shift D, duplicate, and then SY-1. Flip on the other side. Let's press ON, recalculate outside, just so that the vertices are on the outside of it. And let's bring it back in. Maybe rotate a little bit. Stuff like that. Bring it on the X. And like always, we're going to line up. Alright, so let's merge these two in the middle. So M at center, and then Shift R. Also, if you look on the bottom left, you can kind of see what I'm doing. What I'm pressing. Probably should have mentioned that earlier. And that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to you lot who'll be leaving comments down below as well. I see you lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in part 3. I'm out.
Hey mister, I might give a glock to my sister, cause it's a dirty world.